Greetings and welcome there, people of YouTube. This is Essence of Thought, and the time has come to discuss a very charged little word. The reason being that for as much as I hear it being thrown back and forth by both sides, there seems to be a great deal of disconnect between the two groups as to what on earth we are actually talking about.
Is it because the word patriarchy in relation to what feminists say is entirely abstract, and that a real patriarchy is actually a familial organizational system in which the father is the leader of his family unit? Maybe that's why, but you know, I can be grasping at straws here, man. I'm grasping at straws.
Now, in the past, I've come out on both the critique of various feminists as well as in support on feminism in general. Contrary to what whichever group I have just recently insulted and irritated will state, I do watch both sides of the discussion and weigh up the evidence.
Then I'm not sure how there is any possible way that you can subscribe to being a feminist, or even agreeing with anything that a feminist says. That is, unless of course you are in favor of cultural Marxism and socialism. Then I can understand how you could agree with anything that they said. Man, I'm just saying.
Take for example, big-time YouTuber Thunderfoot, a man which I have no issue calling a good thinker in general at the micro level. His analysis of Anita Sarkeesian and the tactics utilised around Gamergate often being spot on target. Where he falls, however, is when it comes to the macro, i.e. feminism at large. He has failed to show a link between the examples he displays and the movement as a whole. When it comes to religion, we have examples in their holy texts, myself, Thunderfoot and other individuals, where we can display the passages which support the actions that have been carried out by fundamentalists. No such thing has been done by people such as Thunderfoot with feminism and a few isolated instances.
That whole kill all men hashtag, like what even is that? I don't even know what that is. Kill all men, teach men not to rape. I don't know, I've never heard of those things before in my entire life. It's not like they are, fucking Twitter hashtags or anything where people will actually post up literal texts of how much they hate men or stuff like. Yeah, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm grasping at straws again, Peter. I'm fucking grasping at straws.
Therefore, it really does come down to guilt by association. You are a feminist. This bad person is also a feminist. Ergo, you are a bad person. This is very much akin to someone going, you are a secularist. Stalin was a secularist. Ergo, you are as bad as Stalin. There simply is no dogma to link what Stalin did to an innate aspect of secularism, just as there is no dogma to link what hypersensitive radical feminists have done to the innate aspects of feminism.
Now, if you take a look at my plethora of video responses to different types of feminists, you will notice a pattern. And that pattern is that there is no real pattern. It's that I treat each feminist kind of differently based on whether I think they're being genuine or not being genuine. Which means I acknowledge that feminists come in all different sizes and all different shapes and sizes. I'm not talking about body positivity, I'm talking about in terms of mental state and ideology. Like, there are some feminists that are just delusional, and then you have some feminists who genuinely want to do good things. They have just been tricked into thinking that cultural Marxism is the best way to go about it. The reason why I say this, Peter, is because that what you just did is called a straw man logical fallacy. And that you tried to set up an argument that people are saying that since you are a feminist and this feminist did bad things, ergo you're a bad person. While it is indeed true that a couple of people have made that argument, or let's be honest, lots of people have said that, it's not really that these people are saying that you being a feminist makes you a terrible person. Actually, no, that's exactly what they're saying. They're not saying that you yourself as an individual is terrible. They're saying that the ideology you subscribe to is horrible. Why? Because feminism does nothing but bring misery to everyone. All the time. No matter what you're discussing. Someone is miserable, and there is nothing to be said and nothing to be done to rectify any problem ever, at least nothing that relies on women doing something. That's why people say that. It's because the ideology they think is terrible. And of course, it's not true, and I know it's not true because I know everybody who says they're a feminist isn't a bad person. I mean, I know that, and I try to tell other people that. Like, look, just because someone is a feminist, it doesn't mean they're a terrible person. I think some people are misguided, or at least some teenage girls are misguided. I think some people are delusional, and I think some other people are liars. Lacey Green. Sorry about that. So, yeah, keep going.
This is typically the moment where an anti-feminist, as well as the general critics of feminism, will draw out the buzzword, patriarchy. So what is meant by patriarchy? Well, whenever I hear an anti-feminist describe it, I often get something similar to this scene from the series Firefly.
Actually, Peter, if you talk to a real anti-feminist about what they think the patriarchy looks like, probably go something like this. I'm going to show you guys exactly what the patriarchy looks like. It's right there. No? What's that? Oh, you don't see anything? Well, that's because there's nothing there. Kind of like the patriarchy. It's not real.
However, whilst this is an extremely exaggerated or extreme form of patriarchy, what the word is utilised as at its most liberal sense by non-radical feminists is very different. Feminists typically utilise the word patriarchy to describe a quality of society.
That is pure, unadulterated bullshit. When most feminists talk about the patriarchy, they are talking about a shadow organization. No, not even a shadow organization, but an entire governmental system that actively works to oppress women and benefit men. In fact, that's the fucking definition they use. They're not describing a facet of society. They're describing the government that oppresses women. We don't live in a patriarchy, which makes them sound bloody delusional.
Similar to how society may be referred to as xenophobic because it's closed off to ideas and people from other nations, in which this case the laws, the culture and the general ideology favour one gender over the other.
Peter, if that's your definition of a patriarchy, then America, because I don't know if you live here in America, is not a fucking patriarchy.
Now, due to there being a historical imbalance tilting in favour of cis male individuals in the past, not to mention that to date I cannot name an example of a society that stands in opposition of this, the use of patriarchal, i.e. male-led, has been utilised.
Actually, a patriarchy is a familial organizational system in which the father is the head of his household. A patriarchy is not something that is male-led. It's something that is father-led. Because it's the organizational pattern of a family unit or a bloodline of families. But it's not a type of governmental system. It's just not. Sorry.
That's why. The patriarchy does not have to be some physical institution somewhere with a sign on the door that says, no girls allowed.
Because that would not only be too concrete, but then it would actually fucking exist. Just saying.
It is a condition of society, primarily taking place at the subconscious level, in which we have been socialized into, hence the failure of people such as Thunderfoot to grasp this basic concept of feminism.
First off, I have never heard a feminist ever until now try to argue that the patriarchy is a facet of society and not the actual governational organization. You know what the fuck I meant. I've never heard that. I've never heard that the patriarchy is a facet of society, and even then we can prove that it is demonstrably false because we can see most of the laws actually pander towards women. We can see that in the court law. I mean, there was, for example, Deborah LaFay, who was actually able to get house arrest after she raped, and the reason why I put rape in quotation marks is because in the court of law, a man cannot be raped by definition. Go figure, right? We live in a patriarchy, but men can't even be fucking raped, but let's just keep going. But one of Deborah LaFay's actual defense was that she was too attractive to go to jail. Now, I'm paraphrasing. I'm not paraphrasing like Anna Kasparian. I'm paraphrasing because I don't remember the exact terminology. However, to remedy that, I'm going to put a link in the description box so you guys can go check that out and verify what was just said. But again, we can prove that that is just not true. There are really no laws that pander for men in any facet of society at all. I mean, if that were true, then why exactly is abortion an executive decision only made for women? I mean, again, if we live in a patriarchy and these laws are supposed to pander or benefit only men, why does a man not have, why is it even a question to be asked as if whether a man should have a say in an abortion when it is indeed his sperm cell and half of his genetic encoding that is within that fetus, zygote, child, whatever you want to call it? I would really like to know the answer to those questions, by the way.
Therefore, this attempt is either falling back on an individual's personal incredulity, where they merely cannot grasp the concept of patriarchy, or it is attempting a general straw man by exaggerating the position or what the word is utilized for.
Actually, Peter, it's neither. It's neither an argument from personal incredulity, and it's neither a straw man. What you have said, on the other hand, is definitely a straw man, because what the patriarchy theory that I've heard from lots of feminists is that it is not a facet of society, but it is the society. It's not even just the society that we live in, but it's the government that we live in. That's what I've heard about the patriarchy theory. It's a patriarchy theory in which the government creates laws that only benefit men and are used to subjugate women. That is what I've heard from almost every feminist I've ever heard talk about the patriarchy. You are the first one to ever say that the feminist position of the patriarchy is a facet or a part of society, which is simply just saying that there are chauvinists in the world. But chauvinism isn't a part of our society at all. I mean, there might be chauvinists there, yes, but certainly not in our over-feminized culture. Nowadays, we don't really have any facet of society that is chauvinistic, at least none that I can immediately think of at the top of my head.
We don't take anything for granted. We don't merely assume that things are the way they are just because. It's in that sense we have become the ultimate source of skepticism. When women are afraid of sexual assault when walking home at night, we don't just go, well, that's just because they're more afraid, there's nothing really we can do to help that. We explore the source of the issue, and once it's identified, we attempt to correct it.
Then why are you in support of feminism? Feminism is the very reason why women are so deathly afraid of being raped. More so to their own deaths, honestly.
So, yes, this has been a rather short video. I hope this has dealt somewhat with what patriarchy is, because again, it's really been highlighted in my more recent videos when I've posted in support of feminism, just to what extent anti-feminists have somehow, they've almost internalized the very same techniques as creationists, going on about absolute chance, no order, chaos, you know, all of that, and then going on about social Darwinism at the same time. It is very similar in the techniques, and it is a great shame to see a generally wonderful secular community slip up in this respect.
Peter, what the bloody hell are you talking about?
So, yeah, be sure to leave your thoughts down below. I shall certainly be interested to hear what you have to say.
And this is pretty much where Peter's video ends. Well, that was a first. I've never heard anyone argue that the patriarchy is a facet of society and not the society itself. But, shit, even then, he's still wrong, so it doesn't really matter. But, yeah, that's the end of his video, and subsequently, the end of mine. I certainly hope you guys enjoyed today's video. And if you did, man, go ahead and click the like button. Go ahead and click that subscribe button. Comment in the comment box below. And as always, have a great day. I'll see you cool cats soon. Adios.